Hi, my name's Lois and I'm the founder of Twiggy Tags, and today we're going to do a fitting video on our Scramble harness. Now this is our 3-strap harness. The way we call it a 3-strap is it's got 1, 2, 3. Usually this is determined by it having a second chest girth strap, just for that extra security, and I'll explain a little bit more further on about why that 3rd strap is so useful. When your harness arrives, the first thing you're going to want to do is unclip all 4 of these plastic buckles and then the metal clip on the neck. Now, this is so that you can get first fit, you can get it on the dog and start doing your adjusting. Now, the first position that you want to start adjusting is the girth position, and it's not the back one, but it's the middle one. Now, this needs to sit when you're pulling back on the D-ring here as if a lead was attached, about 2 to 3 fingers behind the armpit here, and that's the space that you want to give. You want to make sure that there's enough room so that you don't have any injuries here, but also making sure that it isn't too far back, which we'll work out in just a second. So first section you want to adjust is this central chest girth here. You want to make sure that there is enough room for 2 fingers either side. So let's have a little look. That's looking really nice. So we've got 2 finger gap either side. No harness is meant to fit like a straitjacket. We do want a little bit of movement, but make sure it's only enough for 2 fingers. Now that's sat in position, you've got the gap behind the armpit. The next section that you can move on to is the final chest girth strap. As we keep going, the last strap, we can tighten this to where that last rib is, or if it's just before, that's absolutely fine. The girth measurements of these 2 back straps are identical, so don't worry about trying to get a different measurement for both. They both go to the extremes of each other, which also means that they can reduce in size. So you can see here with William, he's a very similar size. He's perhaps a little bit small around his waist, but you may get a different breed of dog who's overall quite barrel shaped, or another type of dog who drops massively when it comes to their last rib. So it can work for all different shapes and sizes, which is why we have the extra piece of webbing here to make that adjustment really easy. So just make sure when you are moving those adjusters that they are right down at the bottom, just to keep those flaps in place, because if they were all the way up here, you get all of this excess, which you don't want. Now you've done the chest measurements, happy with where they're sitting, you've got the gap here, you've got free shoulder movement here, and you've got nowhere past the rib with the last strap. We're going to move on to the neck. The neck on the Scramble is a little bit different from our other styles of harnesses because of where it needs to sit in order for it to be safely able to lift the dog. Now, the reason I say this is because it may look like it is slightly too big in comparison to perhaps a different style of harness. But this is because, once again, you need to make sure that the flag on the chest plate is where the breastbone sits. So flag equals breastbone. That breastbone, similar to an Adam's apple, is that sticky outy point just on the front of your dog's chest, and you can definitely have a feel around before you start testing the harness out, just so that you know where it is going to fit. So we want to make sure that that flag is matching that breastbone there, and we've got a gap either side of about 2 fingers. Now, the important part to note with these straps is the tighter the neck goes, the shorter the chest piece will be, and the closer that these straps will come from the last rib, which does mean that it will cause the neck section to ride up. The thing that you need to focus on whilst you're doing the neck is making sure that this piece is pulled back, making sure that the middle strap stays at a 90 degrees, and the back strap is a little bit more angled, but mostly at that degree angle. That means you'll get that perfect fit on the neck, no pinching at the top here, and sat really nicely on that breastbone. It's really key that this neck is in the correct position because it does impact the other straps. This harness is not designed to go past their last rib. Much like a human, if you put your fingers next to their ribs, you'll be able to feel where that last rib is. You may have to dig in a little bit just to make sure that you can find that supported area, and you want to make sure that the chest plate doesn't go beyond, but more importantly, that where the webbing strap is inside that chest plate doesn't go beyond. This is because the Scramble harness is a lifting harness. If you were to lift with this harness and it went past your dog's ribs, you're at risk of damaging their soft tissue and their internal organs. There's a couple of differences to tell the difference between a Twiggy Tags harness that you can lift with and one that you can't. First one, it's got a second strap. It's that extra bit of support. But the most important is that the handle here is in line with your dog's back. It is vertical against the harness. So you can lift here, usually where possible, absolutely use your second hand as support, but this is suitable to use as a lifting harness because that section doesn't put any pressure beyond the last rib. The other thing that Twiggy Tags sells is one where it is horizontal across your dog's back. The Apex is a prime example. I'm just going to flip Bailey here so you can see the handle runs horizontal across the dog's back. This means it is not suitable for lifting. It doesn't have the extra support. Equally, this is just a grab handle. So horizontal, just a grab handle. Vertical, you can use it for lifting. As I was mentioning earlier, once you're happy with this fit, there are two uses of this harness. The first is a lifting, hiking harness. That extra security means that it is perfect for those like super serious adventures or even your daily adventure. But the other thing that these harnesses are great for are dogs who are slightly nervous or perhaps an escape risk. Now, the reason we say this is because this last strap is super adjustable. And normally what we would suggest, especially if your dog is a flight risk, is to adjust that last strap slightly tighter than the central one. This means that your dog is far, far less likely to be able to get their legs out by doing that fun backing out that they do because they have that extra strap as protection. So we've got everything in the right position. There are a couple of things we do just need to triple check. It might not go past his last rib, which is great. However, we do really need to make sure that it doesn't interfere with everything going on around here. If you've got a dog with a slightly shorter body, there's a chance that their last rib is very close to where their manlyhood may come forward, which is really important that this does not interfere with that, cause any excess rubbing, or also might make a little bit of a mess. If it can go closer towards the chest and less towards the last rib, that would also be great because we do want to make sure that we have lots of space. Our Scramble harness is unique in the fact that it has 3 D-ring attachments. So we have one on the very back plate here, which is around the central part of William's back. We have one where a standard harness D-ring may be, and then we also have the one on the front. Now, depending on how you're going to use the harness, there are loads of different uses for these. However, there is one rule: do not only attached to the front. That front is always as a secondary point of attachment. It is never meant to be used alone. However, both the ones on the back you can use independently. That is absolutely fine. We usually advise the very back one for hiking, tracking, when your dog is predominantly walking in front of you. We've then got the central one, that's perhaps for everyday walking, a little bit of like loose lead walking training. You also can double attach our multi-way lead to both of those D-rings at the same time. If you would like to use the front D-ring, once again, use a double-ended lead. You can attach to either the middle or the back position, as well as the front, and that will mean that you can use that steering technique. I'm going to go over it once again, just in case you've missed it. If you attach a lead to just the front, you're going to start to get this twisting, which is not ideal. It restricts the movement of the dog and it causes discomfort. What you do want to do is you want to attach to one of these D-rings, which holds the position of the dog, controls the dog and takes their weight, and then use this front one to steer, and you get much less movement in that front section. And that is a really good way of training your dog without putting any pressure on their neck and also without restricting their movement. Because this harness has 6 points of adjustment, 2 on the neck, 2 on the middle and 2 on the back. It is very, very important that the hardware is all symmetrical to make sure it is symmetrical on your dog's back, keeping in line and stopping any unnecessary shifting or movement and making the harness lopsided. Now, what I mean by that is that these pieces of hardware are symmetrical on both sides. So you can see there, they are pretty much bang on. And then if I turn it round here, we already have a little bit of a disaster. So we've got one that is super tight on this side and one that is super loose on this side. So the way you want to fix this is taking a little off this and giving a little here. So I'm gonna increase the length there, just to about halfway between the distance, and then reducing the length here. And that's gonna really make sure that the harness is gonna sit straight on the dog. So there you can see I fixed it with equal hardware on both sides. That one just needs a little bit of adjustment on here, just to make sure that it is balanced. And remember, if you've done it on one side, you'll have to correct it on the other too. There we go, much better there. And that's going to make sure that the harness is all symmetrical the whole way down. This harness does come in multiple sizes, but as we mentioned before, one of the most important sizing parts is that chest plate length, making sure it doesn't go past the last rib. So do follow the size guide and the weight guide to give you a good sort of first instance. Now, because of the style of harness that it is, because people are using it for hiking, perhaps you've got a reactive dog or a dog that maybe is an escape risk, it is super important to always check your harness for wear and tear and for any shifting in the fit or the sizing, especially if you're using it for lifting or if your dog lunges quite a lot. You always do want to keep checking that everything is balanced and everything is in good condition. So that's the hardware, the webbing, the fabric, everything all in one, making sure that it is the safest harness it could possibly be. Now, inside of the harnesses have this handy QR code. This shows you all of the fitting information. That's a little bit of me. It also shows you the care instructions and more information that you might need about the product. Also here is written the size, so if you ever need to get in touch with us and you have any questions, do reference that size point as well. That's the one in the circle. And then on the chest plate, we also have further information about us. We have care instructions, and then we also have a section here which has got a place for you to write your phone number. So let's say you leave your harness in a campsite, or perhaps your dog takes itself on a little walk. That is just an extra backup safety for you there as well. I absolutely love the padding on this harness. It is perfect for everyday wear. It is perfect for those long distance hikes. It's a slightly different padding to our other harnesses. It's still anti-chafe, but it is very, very breathable. Now that means it can be worn for long periods of time. It can be worn on top or underneath coats. It can be used in the water and a whole other range of environments. It's not super chunky, but it is very form-fitting and it will mould to your dog's shape while still maintaining the structure needed for it to be the harness that it was designed to be. We know this is quite a technical harness, possibly specialist, but we are always on hand. If you've watched the fitting video and you need a little bit more advice, drop us a chat in our chat box, an email or any message on socials, and we would be happy to help you out, because making sure that the fit is right means that your dog is safe and your dog's safety is our top priority.